Normally I wait a few days before I watch something like this, but people have been linking the shit out of this everywhere. Saw some tweets about it too. I'll show you the thumbnail really quick, and I understand why everybody's coming after it. And so it says, Overwatch Classic is depressing. And I've actually watched one of their videos before on the WoW collab. Even though I disagreed with some of their opinions on it, I thought it was really well informed, and they made some really, really good points that I didn't even consider. So I've seen a lot of people kind of angry about this. I figured I would watch it and at least give it a good shot, because the one I've seen in the past did give me a different perspective. However, though, going into it, I have to say I'm definitely a little resistant, because I don't feel that way in any of the slightest. I don't think it's depressing in any way, shape, or form. The only thing I would say is disappointing was I feel like we kind of got jebaited, and that it was implied that we were going to be getting patches, and it was like week 1 was going to be Classic Overwatch 2016, then they were going to do Moth Meta, and then it was going to be GOATs. But apparently that'll be like future events, and that's disappointing, because I thought it was going to be all in this. So I will say that that's probably the one thing I'm a little ticked off about. So let's watch it.
Well, everybody, Overwatch Classic is here, but it's not alone. Respawn just brought back Apex Legends' launch version as an LTM. Fortnite.
I talked about this on stream, and the Blizzard Ninjas didn't show up. But I knew about Classic a few days in advance because I had a sponsor stream. Like, they planned this whole event where like a bunch of old streamers came back to play. Like, Tim came back to play. Saikuno was playing. You know what I mean? Like, there's just tons of people that came back to play, so they have to like let people know ahead of time to plan it. So it's like, you know, a little like NDA thing. But the problem is, I had made a video like the same day. Oh, here it is, capitalizing on nostalgia. I made a video talking about how games are capitalizing on nostalgia because Apex had just announced their event where they were going back to OG Apex, and then Fortnite Reloaded was leaked before it was like fully announced it was coming back as a game mode. So I was talking about how games were doing this, and like Overwatch maybe should, and like all this other stuff, and then this went the same day, and I was like, whoa, just so you guys know, like I didn't like leak it instantly or anything, it was just the same time. So I was a little panicked on that day, not gonna lie.
It has done similar before, and they've just announced it's going to happen again. Yes, everybody is doing this, and look, as a heavy Overwatch beta through 2017 player, I should be the target audience of this event. And the way it works is fairly simple. It's a separate mode you can queue for, and in it you get the original map pool, though the modern versions of those maps, but you do get the launch roster of heroes with all of their launch abilities, right? So that's kind of neat. The first few days are no limits, leading to a very goofy match where I just had 4 back-to-back Hanzo ults from everybody. That was kind of fun, but after that some sane team comp limits will actually happen. But you do get the older gameplay. I mean, Torbjorn's old, far more Team Fortress 2 engineered, like inspired playstyle is there. You got Hanzo with his
Hook 1.0
scatter shot, Symmetra before her many different reworks, and all of that stuff. Now it lasts for just 20 days, but there will be more Classic in the future, and based on Blizzard's wording, I would expect to see different iterations of the game be featured than just version 1 from 2016. But of course,
spot on. As I said, from the way I read that the event was coming out, when like they did their blogs and stuff, it sounded like it was all going to be in one event. It's not actually that. That's probably my biggest disappointment.
This is really interesting to me, is that this is Classic within the framework of Overwatch 2, and at least to me, it completely exposes how Overwatch 2 is fundamentally a less rewarding, less sticky game with far larger financial asks that literally just does not work as well as Overwatch 1 did. Let's dive into this, because what it really is a store event. Let's talk business. Back in the day, you would get event loot boxes whenever something like this would happen, and those...
I'm already very skeptical. I ain't gonna lie, I respected the hell out of the World of Warcraft one. I thought it was very good, and it brought me some perspective I hadn't known. The fact that we're 1 minute in, and we're already talking loot boxes in Overwatch 2 in the free-to-play game 2024 is like, come on now. You really thought they were going to bring back loot boxes and let everyone just farm all the shop skins for this event? Come on now. Like, I guess you could argue, right? You could argue that they bring back loot boxes for credit skins, right? Maybe. Like, there's a real possibility you could argue that, right? But it's like, I think they want to move past that at this point. Aren't loot boxes illegal in a lot of places? Actually, you're right. The laws have changed quite a bit around loot boxes and since then. That would probably cause some legal headaches, some absolute legal headaches. I don't actually know the full extent of it, but I think it's not unfair to say that there's probably countries that if they brought back loot boxes, even for this small little event, even if you couldn't purchase them or anything, there could be some legal framework there that would be difficult.
Those event loot boxes meant that, well, yeah, they were loot boxes, but everybody had a shot at the big rewards, and the game would just keep drip feeding you those things. You kept on playing, you kept on getting more event loot boxes.
But there's something that everyone forgets. That drip feed was slow as f***. One of my biggest complaints in Overwatch 1 was I have to wait for holidays for any new content. You have to wait for a holiday. If there wasn't a holiday, you got nothing. That's it. That's how it worked. Like, you would have to be like, well, can't wait for Christmas when it's October. Like, can't wait for Christmas to get more skins. Like, that's it. It was just some skins. That's it. Period. So there is way more content coming out in Overwatch 2 these days. Now, if you want to argue, is content skins? I'd argue actually no. But in the framework of this argument, we're talking loot boxes versus skins and rewards. The answer is technically yes, right? But there's a lot more to Overwatch at this point in the rewards department and also to what is content department. So I have to say I disagree so far.
If you've ever heard of the term random variable reward, well, it was that. It was the core of the Skinner box, and back then it did at least work. Now, though, the game is different. This event presents you with 11 challenges. Each challenge rewards you with half a battle pass level worth of XP, very exciting, and the large one gives you 1.5 battle pass levels worth of XP, very thrilling indeed. Now, if you're a free player, well, that'll obviously mean very little because there's basically piss rewards there, but there are some other rewards.
Well, I mean, if you don't play the game a lot, actually, you do your dailies, you do your weeklies, and you do the event challenge. Even if it's a season you don't really like that much, you complete the battle pass, you get 600 coins, which you can save for either the next battle pass or save up to buy something. Granted, again, it's not a lot. It really isn't. It really is not. But the idea that Overwatch is going to come out with a battle pass in which you can buy it one time and then complete it and just endlessly buy the next one without ever having to buy another one is nonsense. It's not Fortnite. Overwatch does not print money like Fortnite does. Fortnite is the only game that I know that really does that. Some games do old battle passes they can bring back, like Halo, I think is one of them, where like you can go back and do old battle passes. You want to argue that should be doable? Fine, I'm cool with that. But like, let's be realistic.
There are event rewards, and if you are standing up, I think you need to sit down. If you're operating heavy machinery, you need to turn it off because this is going to floor you. Okay, here goes. Dear player, you will earn a player title, a name card, a player icon, and, to finish, a spray. That is what you get. That is the set of rewards that are directly tied to this new game mode.
Okay.
Now, in the past of Overwatch, you would get real rewards. You would have a shot at the new legendary skins. But here...
So are we just going to completely disregard the fact that all of those battle pass rewards... Are we going to pretend that those battle pass rewards aren't going to unlock stuff on this track and the free track, which gives you credits, and credits can be used to buy old skins, and also you can get coins as well? So like, are we going to pretend that that doesn't mean anything at all? And now you could argue, well, what if you finish the battle pass? Fine. I doubt you finished your back half of it because I streamed this game an absolute and I'm not even done yet. I'm close to done, but I'm not done yet. I guarantee you haven't finished it. So it's like, I think there's a point to be made there. Sure, absolutely. However, if you're coming back to Overwatch to experience the classic mode, are skins the highest thing on your priority list right now? I don't know. Let's continue.
Nothing. But of course, there are some exciting high-value consumption opportunities, because Coomerwatch is of course back in full force. We have 5 new Black Cat legendary skins. Skin bundles, in fact, each costing $24 to $28, conveniently priced 200 coins higher than the $19.99 coin bundle, because of course. But you know what's priced perfectly? The Black Cat Mega Bundle. You see, $49.99 gets you 5,700 Overwatch coins, and this bundle only costs 5,600 coins. Now, of course, when you break the prices down, it's hilarious.
Sure, but like, we're in the year of our Lord 2024, about to be 2025, and we're talking about Overwatch prices. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, microtransactions in gaming have gotten insane. No shit. Everybody knows that. Like, it's not a foregone conclusion. It's kind of how it is now. But here's the deal also. People, if they've put hundreds of hours into something, can psychologically justify any purchase that they want to make. I think WoW did it recently, right? They'd had the $90 mount, and it was like an old nostalgia thing because it was super useful, and then, you know, it also was like cheaper or something. I remember I talked about it, or I made a video about it when I was like just starting off like my new channel, and people were like, yeah, this isn't a problem though. And it was like $90 for an in-game cosmetic. And I was like, well, it's worth it because like you can access the shop right away, and it gives you features that you don't have. It's like, okay, so they just put features behind a paywall and you're just smiling at me. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, like why is the same rage not there? It's like, well, no, it's fine because WoW's 20 years old and most of their player base is old on the older side, and they have no problem spending a little extra money to get a quality of life feature. Okay, sure, you can argue that too, but like, you can also just not get the skins. You know what I mean? Like, the days of being the collector in Overwatch and collecting every skin for every hero is gone, right? Like, nowadays you pick one, if anything. Pick one character or two characters, and then you can collect all the skins for that character, right? I feel like we've hit the point where, like, if you want to talk about if microtransactions are too expensive in video games, that's totally fine. But everyone picking out just Overwatches over everyone else's, it's crazy. If you want to talk about Overwatch's problems, you want to talk about all the shit it's done, that's totally fine. You want to talk about the game being bad, you want to talk about decisions being bad, you want to talk about balance being bad, you want to talk about all this other shit, that's fine. Like, but at the end of the day, if you don't want the skin, you just don't buy it. That's it. You know, like, you don't have to buy the bundle. Like, why do you need this Black Cat bundle? I don't even think it's like one of those events that's like, you know, like you feel like you're missing out. Like, I would argue like the My Hero Academia one feels more or less getting left out, or Les Seraphim, or something crazy, you know, huge events. So it's like, okay, the only one I would say is the Kitty Shimmy is sick. That's an awesome intro. So I don't know. Like, I'm kind of sick of it. I'm kind of sick of the argument. And it's like, if you don't like it and you don't like Overwatch, you probably just don't want to play it anymore. And that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I personally prefer having today's Overwatch, where we're constantly getting content and they're constantly making changes, and we're constantly getting balance updates, and they're constantly releasing new heroes and new maps and whatever. And the pricing model we have, to old Overwatch, in which it took almost 2 full years to get old Brig nerfed to a point where the game was in a decent state. It took from 2018 to 2020, 19 nerfs to Brig. Over that spit. It took 6 months to get the first round of Brig nerfs, by the way, back in the day. Back in like the heyday, the golden age. And you would only get skins and events for holidays. I like the current days. I like it. I think it's better. You want to say that, you know, it's slop, you say you don't get it stuff for free, that's totally fine, but Overwatch has evolved. And I think it's better in a lot of ways today than it was then. You want to talk about gameplay, 6v6, 5v5, heroes, balance, I'm in. I'm totally down. Well, like we could talk about that, right? But if we're still on the skin conversation, we're on the monetization conversation. I feel like it's just outdated. It's just outdated. The game's evolved.
Bucks for everything, or $24 to $28 for 1 out of 5. So I think we can all see how that price ladder is designed. But of course, there is more than that. Of course, there's more than that. In the form of 5 value bundles at 77 to 86% off.
I'm going to let him finish, but I want to point out, look at the bottom right.
Showing us that value is indeed a real thing that exists. Well, we can get bundles of 3 old skins for Zenyatta, Cassidy Reaper, Diva, and Hanzo, and another best of classic bundle.
I actually haven't seen this classic section before.
3 old skins for
Overwatch Classics. I'm going to load in really quick. I'm already in the game, so I'm going to take a peek. Huh, I have not seen this. Well, I own all of them, so I guess I haven't. It's all Overwatch 1 content. Continue.
For Zenyatta, Cassidy.
They're all 1,000 coins each, so $10 each. 3 skins a pop. And they're some of the better ones. The only one I would argue is maybe not the best is the Cassidy or the Diva. But all these are pretty decent bundles. Actually, even these 2 down here are actually only $6 for a couple skins. $6 for a couple skins? Not too bad. That's you get that out of your free battle pass for the season.
Cassidy Reaper, Diva, and Hanzo, and another best of classic bundle for a.
Wait, hang on. I saw the frame there. It was only $10.
Another best
classic collection, $10. Okay, but like, don't buy it.
Best of
you know
classic
I mean?
bundle.
You can also get it with the old currency too. You see up here, I have 121,000 of the old currency still. from back in the day in the loot boxes. I have 121,000 still to this day. I think if you look at my account, hell, Emong's is actually the one. Like Emong is like a billionaire in Overwatch terms. He has like 400,000 or some shit. If you look back to like versus today, like if they ever used old credits in today's system, dude, I would still be buying skins as they come out to this day and still wouldn't have spent all my money yet. It's all FOMO. I mean, yeah, of course it's FOMO. But like, you have to look through the veil and be like, dude, these skins are available in the game for credits, or I can buy them right now for coins in this bundle. Okay. They're giving you an offer. But the best part about offers, you can say no. They're not robbing you. They're not telling you to give them their wallet. You gotta make that decision for yourself.
And another best of...
The main reason I don't buy is the fake sales. It's just disingenuous and makes a dishonest sale. So I don't disagree. Pricings in Overwatch are based around their own pricing. That's why whenever I've gone after them about it, for example, the Mythic Shop. I went after them for the Mythic Shop, and I was like, this Mythic Shop update, when they added the gold stuff, was stupid. Because in their universe, like their own pricing model, upgrades are 10 Mythic Prisms. But then to go from normal 10 upgrades to a gold color palette, it's 20. When all the other upgrades are 10, right? So in their own universe, they already broke their own law, where they go from 10 to 20, right? That's where I look at you and I go, all right, you're pushing it. You're pushing the greed a little bit here, buddy. But when you put things in a bundle, right? When they put it in a bundle, they're telling you the price of everything individually. And then if you buy the bundle with it together, you save X amount. That's what it's basically trying to show you. It's trying to get you to buy it by doing that. Yes, that's marketing. I'm not going to disagree with you. But you can also go into the bundle and click on them individually and buy them at a cheaper rate if you own parts of that bundle. So it's like, you know what I mean? I get it. But again, this isn't gameplay. This is all the shop. And you have tons of items. But it's like, you also get to make the decisions with your own money, right?
Classic bundle.
And that's your right. Don't buy anything if you don't want to.
For 1,000 coins. How exciting. But that's not all, because you may have forgotten about their latest squeeze. Don't worry though, I'm going to get you up to speed. So here's the deal, and it's absolutely amazing. We've got the mythic skins, right?
Okay, he's gonna spit here. This is actually, yeah.
And those are now found in the Mythic Skins store. Mythic skins cost 50 mythic prisms,
and
there are 3 upgrade levels.
Yep, this is exactly where I was going before.
You get 80 mythic prisms for completing the entire premium battle pass, and that's what you need to fully unlock one of the mythic skins with all of its upgrade levels. But, of course, don't worry. There are more ways to get mythic prisms. They cost $1 each. Yeah, $1 each. But if you're a true gamer, as I know you are, you wouldn't make the silly decision of buying small denominations. You would buy the 100 Mythic Prism bundle for $74.99 USD. An amazing value. And with that, you could buy an entire mythic skin. But you'd have 20 mythic prisms left over. And the amazing news is, they, Blizzard, have given us something.
Wait, that's actually kind of evil. I didn't expect... Wait a minute, it actually makes a good point. Actually makes an amazing point, because I know what this is going. 80 bucks? Holy shit. Wait a minute. See, this is why, even though I disagree with the first half of this video, I like these that are a different perspective than my own, because that's something I haven't even picked up on. That it's 80 mythic prisms, or sorry, it's 75 plus an extra 25, which means 80 mythic prisms for the full skin. And then when you buy the extra gold on top, it's another 20. There's your whole 75 bucks. Holy shit, that's actually evil. He's gonna say it. I'm just saying, I'm seeing the writing on the wall.
To spend those 20 prisms on in the form of gilded aspects.
Yeah, that's actually giga evil. Holy shit, I did not see that.
A golden coloration of said mythic skin.
I thought this video was about Overwatch Classic. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. This is definitely a different tangent going on. Regardless, though, I'm gonna still let them. I'm gonna let them still talk, obviously. But like, this is why it's important to sometimes watch stuff like this and to sometimes try to figure out why people disagree with you, right? Because like, even though I think a lot of this stuff is really good, I just learned something. That's a very good point.
It does mean if you see somebody with a gilded aspect skin, well, those are $74.99. That is how much one of these skins costs. That is more.
We gotta get to the classic conversation. You're not wrong.
Premium Sony game on launch day, which is quite something. Now, you may say, hey, come on man, that's kind of unfair. You get 80 of these prisms in the premium pass. Most people won't buy prisms. Well, what Blizzard now do is they add way more than 80 prisms worth of cosmetics a season. Of course, we've had...
I wouldn't say way more.
Every single mythic skin in the game, but also each season now adds mythic weapons, and mythic weapons cost
one mythic weapon.
Same. 50 prisms for the base skin.
Agreed,
and then 10
but one.
Prisms, $10 for each upgrade level. But guess what? I have a secret for you. Do not tell anyone else. This is strictly between you and me because it's a great deal. One you shouldn't miss out on. It's over 50% value. You can purchase the new Soldier 76 Mythic Weapon skin as a bundle.
And look it up top. 20 Battle Pass tier skips on top of it. I understand where you want to argue prices being too high or too low for cosmetics. I'm down. But like, at the same time, they don't have to do these. They don't have to put out the thing and say, hey, half the price, you can get it right now. FOMO. Absolutely. 1000% it's FOMO. But most people decide if they're going to buy something like this before it's even come out.
In the Overwatch store for only $39.99, which is basically half the price it would otherwise be. But even better, you'll get 20 Battle Pass skips. Now, each one of those Battle Pass skips will be saving you time. So you need to count up
half
all
of it
those
has nothing to do
Battle
with
Pass
classic.
grinding
Yeah,
hours, multiply them by your hourly salary, and you'll actually find that this bundle is such a good deal, you save money by buying it. That's how good Blizzard are. A deal for the ages.
FOMO.
One that, of course, will
Sure.
stack with the best value way to purchase
Doesn't have
the
anything to do with
Battle
classic,
Pass.
but not wrong.
$39.99 Ultimate Battle Pass bundle, which has got 2 exclusive skins, 2,000 Overwatch coins, and...
See, this is where I always say, like, they're creating value in their own universe. As long as they follow the rules of their own universe, a lot of times, like, it's annoying. It's not great, but like that's how free-to-play games are. And I'd rather have more content than no content, like in Overwatch 1. That being said, though, talking about the mythic or the gilded aspects thing, that's why I'm like, nah, you guys are breaking your own rules. That's f***ed up.
20 tier skips. Though, my fellow gamers, I need to inform you,
this was all covered last video. Was all of this covered last video? I know there was similar stuff.
That's because something has left the store. Though in truth, it only serves as more proof that Overwatch
I think he mentioned the gilded aspect, but it hadn't come out yet. I think that's what it was.
It's a game that you must log into every 4 weeks. And that's because in a massive blow to e-girls, little simps, and people of culture around the world, the Witch Girl bundle has just left the store. Because we all know one simple truth. You could make a new Soldier 76 skin or a Wrecking Ball skin. But if you want money, well, we all know what sells. Of course, look, I'm no Puritan. I just think it's kind of funny. And goddamn, yeah, the mythic Maker skin sure is something else. How's this loading
There's
screen,
arguments to be made there, I guess.
Just do videos. Loading screen is our daily members.
But like also certain characters that are more popular are going to get more skins. I don't think that's crazy to think about or to say. Reinhardt, are you going to say like, okay, if we're going to talk it, yeah, if you're going to call it Overwatch, right? Do you think people are doing that over Reinhardt? Do you think people are cooming for Reinhardt? I don't think so. I think just a super popular character. People love him. They want to play him. And they love the playstyle. And they love, because that's the identity of a tank. Yes, okay. Yes. But my point stands though. If a character's super popular and gets lots of playtime, gets lots of attention, and people buy it a lot, yes. They make skins for them. Have I talked about that before as being a bad thing? Yes. Have I talked about how honestly they should just do like 1 or 2 really, really cool skins for like Venture, Ramatra, etc. And then remix it like once or twice. Boom. Now you got multiple skins for those characters. Now you got like 4 or 6. You know what I mean? It's like, we do remixes. You know what I mean? Like that's an ethical way to kind of do remixes and give them more stuff. Anyways.
Newsletter keeps you fully in the loop, you know, new releases every week, all of the news coverage and commentary.
That way Venture has no skins? No.
It is absolutely fantastic. What it does is it lets you disconnect from the algorithms and it helps you make your hobby more intentional. It's awesome. There's a bunch of other things as well, and you can get started today with a free trial, the link down below, and it is in fact the best way to support what my team does. Now with that said, let's exit the whole store thing.
Actual Overwatch Classic now.
Problem with Overwatch here. Playing some of this event and looking at the game, I realized something. So many of the rewards here are actually terrific. Like, I may joke about the Witch Girls and the Cat Girls, but those are damn good skins. The Soldier 76 Mythic Weapon is actually really cool, but it's all completely inaccessible.
I kind of don't think it's that good, but
And you see, Overwatch Classic feels like it's a massive event, but the rewards that most people will get from playing it are a title, a name card, an icon, and a spray. In the past, well, as much as loot boxes were deeply flawed, you at least had a shot of getting something. So from a progression design perspective,
how are we
the
back to
entire
cosmetics
Overwatch
again?
Classic event is boiled down to 6 Battle Pass levels worth
We're back
of
to
XP.
cosmetics again?
That's 6 levels out of 80. If this was Helldivers 2, you'd actually earn some premium currency as you played. If it was Overwatch 1, you would earn event loot boxes. And that's just the problem here. Overwatch 2 is a deeply unengaging game. If Blizzard wants this to be a more engaging game, they seriously need to rethink how their in-game economy works.
Okay, now I'm kind of getting annoyed. Because, like, I was totally willing to give you all the benefit of the doubt on the lead up, but now we're in the Overwatch Classic section, and we're already back to cosmetics? What the f*** are you talking about cosmetics again? Let's talk about the gameplay. There's so much shit you could talk about with the gameplay being not good, or talking about being wonky, or talking about maybe doing a future patch when certain things like quality of life stuff was attained. But, like, what's that? Come on. We're still talking cosmetics. What makes Overwatch so good, and what made Overwatch be 2016 Game of the Year was not the f***ing cosmetics. It was the gameplay. And you want to argue the gameplay isn't great or whatever today? I'm in. I'm down. But I'm like...
It's clear to me that the Battle Pass obviously did not produce the numbers they needed. And I think that's led to...
What? Hang on. I got to back this up.
Is a deeply unengaging game. If Blizzard wants this to be a more engaging game, they seriously need to rethink how their in-game economy works. It's clear to me that the Battle Pass obviously did not produce the numbers they needed, and I think that's led to the dominance of the store, the massive store bundles, and the mythic skins.
No, I'll tell you exactly what happened. They used to put some cool skins in the Battle Pass and some not, and people got annoyed that the theme of the Battle Pass wasn't the same. So they changed the format, and they made it so all the Battle Pass skins would follow a certain theme. That was literally what the community asked for. And so when characters or skins are not in that theme, they typically go into the shop. Every game does this. Do not look me in the goddamn eyes and tell me that any game that has a Battle Pass and a store doesn't typically put the best shit in the store. The number one item for the Battle Pass was the Mythic. The whole point of buying the Battle Pass was for the Mythic, right? The Mythic was the big reward. It was the $10 reward. Everything else was just shit, was just extra potatoes on top of it, right? That was the point. The point was always that. So you would play through the Battle Pass and you'd get a bunch of skins that all were the same, right? It was all the same. You have a theme, and then you'd have you'd have the super nice item over here. That was the $10 deal, right? And then eventually there was the coins and the credits and all that stuff that was also added in, right? Totally understandable. But then outside of that, of course it's going to be in the store. That's the point of the store. Everyone knows that. Like, we're going to pretend that's not a thing? And to say it like it wasn't pulling its weight, it's like, dude, they made the changes to the battle passes for that reason. And the Mythic shop, whether you want to have agreements and disagreements on like the pricing model and all this other stuff, that's totally fine, right? I actually think that in a lot of ways, some of it isn't good, and like, but at the same time, like if people weren't there for old skins, right? Like there was a bit of exclusivity for having the original season 1 Genji skin, right? Like if you had season 1 Genji and like you're season 7 or 8, a lot of people don't have the season 1 Genji and they're like, I had that skin. They prey on those people's FOMO and wanting to have it by turning them into a whale to spend 75 or 80 bucks to then get that item. So what they've done is they keep that exclusivity of having these older items on the Mythic shop, but also if you really want to spend the extra money and get it, you can. It's just going to be at a much higher price point, right? Overwatch wins, and a player who likes their exclusivity also wins, because not every player is going to go out and buy it right away because it's not 10 bucks anymore. Now it's 80, right? So it's opened up the opportunity that if you want to get old stuff, you can spend a lot of money to get it. That was not a thing before. You just didn't get it, period, right? Period. They were like, you're not getting it. So what they did is just gave the opportunity for it. Now, if you want to talk about like the gilded aspect stuff, I'm totally down. You want to talk about the pricing and how much a Mythic Prism is, I'm totally down. I feel it's so disingenuous to say like the Battle Pass clearly wasn't doing well because they're putting everything in the shop. Of course they're putting it in the shop. And we also keep showing this. It's the crowdfunding bundle. The crowdfunding bundle for RWCS, in which 25% of it goes to the prize pool. If you want to think the prize pool that's not enough for the prize pool, that's fine too. We can have that conversation as well. But it's like so many things that are happening here. I'm getting a little tilted.
The dominance of the store, the massive store bundles, and the mythic skins. And again, them double dipping and just trying to make even more from the mythic skins. Blizzard are wholly catering to their whales, but in doing so, they've ended up with a game that is essentially wholly devoid of progression. It feels stingy, it feels like it's always the hard sell, and that to me...
So let me ask you a question. What is the progression in Valorant? What is the progression in Fortnite? What is the progression in competitive games? Getting better, climbing the ladder. It's improving, but also getting rewards along the way. It's very subjective.
To me, it's fundamentally just kind of depressing. It's a shell of itself. But let's step back for a second and look at how Overwatch 2 has actually performed by the numbers. At least in Steam, Overwatch 2 is doing fairly okay. I mean, seriously, it is.
It's doing well. What do you mean?
Had it averaging 20.6k concurrents. By March...
So September of 2023 to last 30 days, almost doubled. Okay.
That was 26.5k concurrence, and by September, 35.3k concurrence. So, from 20.6 to 35.3. That is over 50% year-on-year growth, basically, and that's only in Steam. I assume that most people play Overwatch on Battle.net, and it actually managed to hit rank 6 of PC Game Pass with this event.
And I looked at some semi-recently for other games, and actually, the data from Xbox and PlayStation, granted, take it with a grain of salt, because there's a website that tries to sell you data, and they're like, hey, here's just this month's data, and you want previous month's data, we'll sell it to you to sign up, and you can pay for it. But even those showed that Overwatch was actually well into the top 10. I think for both platforms, I don't remember if PlayStation was just outside the top 10, but Xbox, it was well into the top 10, off the top of my head. But they were up there.
When you look at the peak players, it's a similar enough story. It's obviously a bit more spiky, though I will say the Overwatch Classic event has been rather muted. Launch day spiked to 50.15k players, the next day spiked to 56.6, and it's just been kind of low, in my opinion. Now, usually...
But the data doesn't back that. So, like, if you say it's in your opinion, which is fine, opinion's totally fine. But... that means, like, I guess you would expect that it would go into the hundreds of thousands, like, because it'd be like, oh my god, it's gonna get everyone to come back, rah! But again, like, to their point, most people probably use Battle.net, and probably a lot of the old Overwatch players probably remember using Overwatch on Battle.net, because that's how you played the game for many, many years, right? So, and that also doesn't include consoles as well. Granted, we don't have access to those numbers. Especially in individual numbers like this. The only numbers we have to go off of for Steam. And especially for old players that are going to come back, they're probably going to go through their Battle.net account, because that's how they always played Overwatch for years, right? There's probably a good amount of people out there that don't even know Overwatch is even on Steam, right? It clearly did spike. And it's a mid-season, by the way. It's not launch. It's a mid-season patch. So it's like, yes, I understand. If the point is that they thought it should be much higher, that's a fine opinion. But I wouldn't say it's bad.
Spiked to 56.6, and it's just been kind of low, in my opinion.
You know what? I kind of want to go look, actually. What's it at right now? So here is the last month. Let's go 7 days. So day 1 on Tuesday peaks out at 50. Day 2, it peaks out at 56. Day 3 peaks out at 47. Day 4, which is a Friday, 50 again. So, well, I guess we'll see when tomorrow hits for Saturday. If it peaks up again, similar to the launch, because like it's a weekend and more people are able to play it, and especially older Overwatch players are probably on the older end of the demographic. I don't think that's a bad event for a cycle. You know what I mean? That doesn't seem too bad to me.
Now, usually Sunday is the strongest day in Steam, but I do think that this is fairly weak. What's concerning is the numbers that I've just covered are basically what the game was getting last month. I feel like Overwatch Classic should be hitting way harder than it has been. But
sure, I think that's a fine opinion.
You see, concurrency is going to be heavily reliant on how much people are playing. Like, session length will massively inflate concurrency. And I look at this and I see, yeah, it's Classic as a limited time event, that's fine. But the rewards, the progression are absolutely shallow. It's an icon.
Are we going to talk about cosmetics again?
Tag, a title. That's nothing that people want. Half-hearted at best. What?
Why do they care if they don't even play the game? If they don't play Overwatch, why the they care if they get a skin? It's multiple arguments mixed into one. Whether they play the game or don't play the game. The event clearly is to target old players to come back and like, oh, come back and try Classic, you know, back, like, get a throwback to the old days. But they want rewards, so they're gonna want. They're not gonna want to play the game past today anyways.
What this is doing is it is wearing the skin of Overwatch 1, but with the demotivational rot of Overwatch 2. Perhaps most surprising to some is how this was Blizzard's answer to the usual BlizzCon time spot.
Hang on, wouldn't like, the evil Corpa motive be to let the people use skins in the Classic mode, so that when Overwatch 1 players come back to try it, they see all these cool skins that are in Overwatch 2 now and they want to buy them? Wouldn't that actually be the Corpa evil way to go?
I mean, over in the land of Warcraft, we've got them actually doing work in Warcraft 3 Reforged. The World of Warcraft announcements were actually terrific. Straight up fantastic. And Warcraft 1 and 2 have got a remaster that actually look really damn good. Yet over here, it's just this little limited time event. Not that, of course, Overwatch players are used to big BlizzCons anymore. The last one was a K-pop store tie-in. Strategically, though, these games...
Okay, like, WoW's always been the juggernaut for Blizzard. That's not crazy.
Are all using,
and like, let's not pretend that the Le Seraphim event didn't slap at BlizzCon. Slapped.
Same playbook, because it's a cheap way to re-engage one of the assets they do have: lapsed players. Every free-to-play game has got tens of millions of lapsed players. And in terms of development time, bringing back an old rule set is not exactly a hard thing to do, so it's a cost-effective way to drum up.
Okay, I got an idea. So, what day did the Apex Legends event come out, by the way? Because I can't choose individual date, the new season of Apex launched on... Sorry, not the new season. Season 22 launched on August 6th. Looking at Steam charts, the closer I can get to August 6th, I'm going to assume that the high number is this new season. 314,000 peak players when the new season launched, Season 22, right? Then that shit dies, and it goes all the way down to 134,000 players before the new season launches, okay? The day before the new season launches is at 125,000. They launch their Apex Classic and a brand new season, and they go up to 206,000, which is a pretty significant increase, right? That's a pretty significant increase. But not much different than how they change every season. So the season before that, May 7th. So let's assume it's here, 425,000 brand new players for a new season. Let's assume it's the higher number. So they lost about 100,000 players between their events. And then they do a new Classic event and a new season, and they peak out even lower. So Apex Legends, in comparison to Season 22, peaks out, even with a Classic event, less than their previous season on Steam. Would you say the new season of Apex is a giant, utter failure in that they're completely killing their game? Some people would probably say yeah. Some people would probably say yeah. Absolutely. Is it because of the Classic mode, though? Or is it because of all the other stuff? Who's to say? But I think that the fact that they did a Classic mode and they have way less players, and Overwatch is a Classic mode and it has just about as much as it normally does at the beginning of a season, at a mid-season, is a pretty good sign. Let's finish this, though, before I go on too much of an Apex tangent.
Back an old rule set is not exactly a hard thing to do, so it's a cost-effective way to drum up some excitement, especially when your cosmetics can truck on as usual and dip into the back catalogue, as we've seen with the Overwatch Classic store bundles. I mean, just look at Apex Legends with their 5 times more expensive retro packs. But
okay, we just talked about Apex Legends.
For Overwatch, it will not work as well as it did in Apex. It will not work as well as it will in Fortnite because...
But it did! The numbers on Steam just backed me up, though. The numbers on Steam for the previous season are 100,000 higher than the new season plus a Classic event. So the numbers, I think, are actually more in my favor.
Meaningless challenge rewards and some Battle Pass XP is a poor offering in today's competitive market. What Blizzard does have is world-leading character designs. And yeah,
true,
they can get some titillating-looking skins. They can do the obvious thing that will obviously sell, and people will just give over their money. But that's not really a long-term sustainable business, because the foundational progression of Overwatch 2 is hollow, it is unengaging. Blizzard fundamentally needs to fix this problem, because whenever
Sure.
they say, hey gamers, come back,
I actually don't disagree with
there's
that.
a big reason for you to play, and you just get a spray.
I actually don't disagree with this. It's actually a very good point. I actually agree with you. It does feel hollow. It feels like an endless battle pass simulator sometimes. But nothing that was said so far has anything to do with cosmetics. And giving you these cosmetics for free are not going to give the game soul. None of the things that have been said before this give the game soul. I think the game is losing its soul. Or it feels more hollow and feels like an endless battle pass simulator because it's constantly is farming those skins. And that's a lot of the new content. You want to talk soul? We talk the arcade event, Junkenstein event. That kind of stuff is really cool. This classic event, really good, really cool. Constant balance updates, new heroes, reworking the maps like they have been, constantly communication with their community, constantly trying to improve those things, reworking heroes that might not work. And in even the big one, that's the biggest thing in the community right now, which has not even been mentioned in this video, which I'm very surprised at, very, very surprised at, because I thought it would at least come up, is the idea of 5v5 Overwatch versus 6v6 Overwatch at its core and the way the game is played. One of the biggest things that Overwatch players have been arguing over for the last year is something that's been actually going to be tested in Season 14 and is an actual core element to how the game is played. Getting a skin for free is not a core element and is not the heart and soul of a game. The way the game plays and the way the game's balanced and the way the game progresses and team fights happen and how you interact with other players and with teammates and ability usage and how they overlap and how maps are played, that is core. That is soul.
That just tells people that they don't give a about you unless you are going to be dropping serious, full game price amounts of money on the store, because that's where all the exciting stuff is happening. The other angle to this is, of course, 6v6, and there is going to be more 6v6 testing. I've got no horse in that race. To me, Overwatch 1 became a pretty...
But the whole... If you wanted to say classic, that should be part of the big part of the video, and saying how people are confused and they think this is the 6v6 playtest. And a lot of people are already arguing. They're like, well, this has already put a bad idea in people's head, saying that this version of Overwatch is the old 6v6 that everyone always says was really, really good. And a lot of the modern day Overwatch players think it's really, really bad. There already has been a bit of a misunderstanding where it's like people are like, no, this isn't what they were asking for. This is just classic. This is like launch Overwatch. Obviously, heroes like Diva are just terrible, right? That is the whole race. That's the point of the race.
Tired alt spam fest, and I actually enjoy the sweatier gameplay of Overwatch 2, but it's safe to say that I am in...
Say what?
I've got no horse in that race. To me, Overwatch 1 became a pretty tired alt spam fest, and I actually enjoy the sweatier gameplay of Overwatch 2, but it's safe to say that I am in the minority. And that speaks to the game's broader problem. Overwatch 1's gargantuan audience was broad, novelty-oriented, reward-oriented, and not always competitive. Foundationally, Overwatch does not support that mode of play anymore. Those people will not be lured in by Battle Pass XP, especially when Overwatch 2's Battle Passes are as underwhelming as they are. And that
So your argument here is to not actually pander or not actually try to build the game your community wants to play. It's to try to bring back old players that clearly dropped the game, do not want to ever pick it back up, and don't even want to try to inform themselves on what has changed. They just are like, nah, I'm good, and they move on. You want them to do that instead of improving what they currently have and making it better for the players that still play, and making it so they want to keep playing, and that players see, oh shit, a lot of people are still playing that game over there. How do I get into it? Because especially a competitive game like Overwatch, only thing that are going to bring back players are events like this, like these classic events, like, right? Like that's how you get old players to try to play again, because otherwise the game has advanced so much that it's like if you take a 3-year break and come back to Overwatch, there's 19 new heroes with 6 new reworks and different abilities. You're just overwhelmed. You don't know what to do. It's a competitive game. Nobody wants to feel like they're shit. Like if you play and you were, let's say you played in Overwatch and you were Diamond, and you played and you were always Diamond, then you stop playing Overwatch and you come back and holy fuck, you're like Silver now. Yeah, people don't typically want to come back and play that much, you know? Tim had that issue when he tried to come back. I've watched it. Watched it with my own eyes.
That means that Overwatch will continue as a narrowly successful live service shooter, but unless they bring about large systemic change that fundamentally opens the game up to more players and fixes its demotivational reward psychology.
You're actually really close with the first part of like bringing in new players / like making it so that it's something people want to play and enjoy and keep playing. Yes. Just give me free skins. No.
It will always, first and foremost, be known as a missed opportunity. And while we're talking about missed opportunities, the boys over at WB Games have not been having the best time. You can find out all about that in this next video.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? I appreciate these types of videos because even if I really strongly disagree, like with this one, it's nice to have an outside perspective. It really is. And that doesn't mean it's invalid, because there's a lot of people that are already, I've already been reading chat, and I know people are going to probably say in comments too, like, you know, oh, it's not informed or whatever. But like, these videos are important because this is like outside of the general community. Like, this is like, mine is so much deeper, so much more of an understanding, because I'm here every day. Like, I'm here, I got like my fingers on the heartbeat, like the pulse. Like, I could feel that shit all the time. I could tell you what's happening before it happens, months in advance, even if you don't believe me, right? I think time and time again, I've done that over the years, right? Kind of see shit coming before it happens, most of the time. That being said, this probably echoes a larger gaming community's sentiment, and that's not a thing that you should ignore. You should hear that. And I think there are some good takeaways. There's some good takeaways that the soul doesn't feel like it's there, and there isn't anything that's going to really bring you back. And like, as an old player, there isn't a reason to come back and really play. But then again, in the same breath, if you don't really play the game, why the care if you're going to get a skin in the mode you're going to play for a week? Why the care, right? Like, I would argue that I had more of a draw to play Fortnite when the Dragon Ball Z event was happening to get Goku skins or Vegeta skins and then go around Kamehameha on people, because the actual gameplay of the game was you picked up abilities from Dragon Ball and you used them in the game on other players, right? And it was funny and it was goofy and it was more than just the skins. Like, the actual game got transformed around the event. That is something that makes a gamer from outside the game want to come and play it and buy those items. It doesn't matter if you give them for free. People don't want something for free if they don't actually want it. Like, at that point, it's just clutter. It's just shit in their house, right? Like, there's no point. So I get what they're saying. I get it. But that's not the truth. That's not how you actually make shit better. And I think that it's a little disingenuous to say that, you know, by the feeling metric, the classic event isn't as good as it should be. Or it's like, I feel like it should be doing better. When Apex, one of the literal examples even used in this video, Steam charts are significantly worse than its previous season. And that's with a new season and its classic event. So, like, Overwatch did it at a mid-season. Like, it's midway through the season. So, like, a lot of the hype dies after the beginning of a season. Mid-season brings it back up to where it was at the start of the season, if not slightly better, slightly below, slightly better, slightly below. But, like, on feeling alone, be like, well, I think it should be better. But the other guy that's also used an example is significantly worse, and we look at him and go, nah, it's fine. It's not fair. We're not playing fair games at that point, and it's a little disingenuous to me. I think there's a lot of good arguments though that were still made, and so I enjoy watching videos like this.